I have a special guest with us today. I have Larita, who is a photographer who is absolutely crushing it on the platform of TikTok. Even though it's been around for years, a lot of photographers don't know how to use it, especially with reference to how to get real clients, how to get real bookings. So before we get into it, Larita, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what type of photography you do, and where you do it from.
Yeah, so I'm Larita. I am a wedding photographer. I'm based just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I serve kind of like PA, Jersey, Maryland, all of the states. Um, I started second shooting in 2017, shot my first wedding in 2020, and I've just been going for it ever since.
Love it. So cool. And so tell me a little bit about kind of what brought you into this world of TikTok in the first place. Like, when did you start an account on TikTok? What have you been doing since then? And give us like a little, just kind of like set the precedent in this entire episode of like, what's working for you? Have you actually seen bookings from this platform?
Yeah, sweet. Okay, loaded question. So I think when I started, everything came from Instagram, which I feel like is probably how it was for a lot of photographers.
Hmm.
And back in the day, it was like you have under 1,000 followers on Instagram and you get 400 likes. Like it was crazy,
It's
right?
true.
And that just doesn't happen now anymore. Um, so I started my TikTok account end of 2024. And kind of what prompted me to that was I'm in my mid 20s, have a lot of friends that are getting married, and a lot of them were talking about how they're using TikTok to plan their weddings.
Hmm.
And in my head, I'm like, okay, well, if a bride is planning her wedding on TikTok, that's where I want to be. I don't
Totally.
even care if she's not finding her vendors there yet. Like, I know the day will come where people will find their vendors on TikTok.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like how I initially thought about it. I also just genuinely enjoyed it so much more as a consumer than I did
Hmm.
Instagram. And I think a lot of people in their 20s are the same way. Um, yeah, just with conversations that I've had with friends, like no one's really scrolling Instagram anymore, in my opinion.
Hmm.
We're on TikTok. So I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to be where my potential clients are, and that's TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to go back and tell everybody that the way that I found you, Larita,
Yeah.
which was literally on my own feed, on my For You page. I was just like flipping through and I was watching you kind of dish about like, hey, I'm a photographer who finds a lot of my inquiries now on TikTok. So I just want
Mhm.
to like mention that before we get any further.
Wait,
Like
that
that's
video
literally how I found you.
that video is so funny to me because I made it literally expecting absolutely nothing. Like, and I didn't even make it in like a, oh, like, look at me, like my business has been doing so well, like I got so many TikTok inquiries. Like, not at all. I was more so like, what are you doing if you're not on TikTok? Because
Totally.
so many photographers that I know, so many are struggling for bookings, are struggling
Yeah.
for inquiries. Like they're saying, and everyone's like, 2026, I even heard it in 2025 too, and like that people don't have bookings for 2027, things like this. And I think it's so easy to like make excuses for it and be like, oh, it's the economy, or it's like all of these things. But like, are you doing everything that you can?
Right.
And I think that like if you don't have a TikTok, like you're missing out on so
Yeah.
many inquiries. So that's why I made the video. But then I
Hmm.
just got so many
Good for you.
comments. People were like, this is incredible. Like, I can only imagine this. Like, this is my goal. And I'm just like, you can do it. Like, if I can
You're
do
like,
it,
you
you
can
can do
do
it.
it.
Like, it is not.
Absolutely. So you really feel like in so many ways, especially this newer generation of brides, like they're going on a place like TikTok before they're even going on a place like Instagram. And it's not that maybe they don't have an Instagram account, but a lot of it you see is that, hey, they're doing a lot of their inspo searching and their
Mhm.
planning and their finding of vendors that they want to work with directly through this platform rather than maybe even something like Google or Instagram or Pinterest, which I think have been like those three main drivers of the past.
For
But
sure.
now
Yeah.
it's like people are going to the short form app that just came out of nowhere back in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy because honestly, like, I wish I would have had TikTok as a bride when I was planning my wedding. Like, the amount of ideas
Mm,
on there is wild. And it's so easy to save and save to your collections and things like that.
hmm.
That, yeah, that's kind of what drew me to it. Um, and I still feel like Instagram is a very valuable resource, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later too.
Hmm.
But I think all of the inquiries that I get from Instagram are more so related to venues I've already worked at versus
Hmm.
with TikTok, I'm kind of being pushed out to like an all new set of clients.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It
Yeah.
absolutely does. Do you that's also a distinction I've noticed myself is that you might have, let's say, I don't know, like let's say you have 500, like a really small number on Instagram as a following, right? And
Mhm.
then let's say you have 500, same amount of followers on a place like TikTok. I find that you can push something like you can just make a post and it can be pushed out to so many more people on
100%.
TikTok,
Yeah.
regardless of the amount of followers you have. Whereas on
Yes.
Instagram, you're kind of, inhibited by the amount of followers that you start with. And
Yeah.
Instagram almost kind of dictates this is how many people we're going to push it to based on that. Do you
Yes.
find that to be true as well?
100%. I've actually heard that with Instagram, like they push it out to your followers first. And then
Mm,
if it does well, then it gets pushed out. And I'm not like an expert on the algorithm, but that's what I've heard. Versus
mm.
with TikTok, it feels like it just pushes it out no matter
Yeah.
what. And then it'll kind of start taking traction. That was one of the things that surprised me the most when I started my TikTok was I would have like 200 followers and my videos were still doing well. Like they were
Mm.
getting likes and saves and I don't know, just kind of mind blowing to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the point where from the time when you started your TikTok, excuse me, and you're starting to maybe post a little bit there, or maybe there was a season where you were just watching like a lurker and then you were like, okay, I got to get myself in and posting on this to the point where you actually started seeing some traction. Like what was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I started my TikTok end of 2024. I think it was September.
Hmm.
And then I didn't get my first inquiry until January. So it was a couple months till I even got
Yeah,
an inquiry, but I was still pumping out content. And I had
totally.
already been like, I had been a lurker on TikTok for
Yeah.
years, just on like a personal account.
Hmm.
So I was a little bit like, I was still familiar with TikTok and like that social media. But
Hmm.
yeah, I was posting for a couple months pretty consistently until I got my first inquiry because I screenshotted it. So I
Good
went
for
back the other
you.
day and I like went back and I could find what it was. Um, and then the inquiries were kind of slow until I got my first booking in March. So that would have been,
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that is, 6 months maybe.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then it really started to gain traction April or May, which I think a big part of that was I started to figure out what content to post. But then
Mm.
it gained so much traction that in June, I think I booked like 4 weddings off of TikTok, which,
Wow.
yeah, for someone that only takes 15 to 20 weddings a year, like
Yeah, that's
that blew my mind.
huge.
Yeah.
And they were
And
like
so I
ideal
was like,
clients.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And it was like
Wow.
good weddings too. I think that's what blew my mind too. In my head, I was like, the only clients that are on TikTok are like not people who want to pay a lot of money for photography,
Totally.
which was just the furthest thing from the truth. Like they
Yeah.
are at beautiful venues. One of them is like a destination wedding in Italy, like just
Wow.
like insane venues that I'm really excited about and really wonderful couples. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was there any like specific type of case study where you're like, I actually remember posting this, and
Mhm.
then I pretty sure I got a actual inquiry and then booking from that thing that I posted. Was there ever a case like that, or was it more general?
No, there were multiple cases like that. Actually, so the destination wedding I have the end of the year, we actually talked about it on our one of our meetings at some point that she found me on TikTok. And the way she found me was through a video that I made about a wedding venue in Italy
Wow.
that I had shot at like once before.
Hmm.
And it wasn't even like about my work, really. It wasn't about like why you should hire me or anything like that. It was literally about like, I shot at this venue. It was incredible. You need to get married here, basically.
Wow.
Right. And she saved it to her collections and didn't think much of it. Came back. I don't know how long it was, maybe a couple weeks. Saw the video. She's like, oh, I'm going to check out her page. Went on her page. She's like, oh, I actually really like her work and inquired and ended up like, it was my highest paid package that I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah. Which
Wow.
really
And a
just came
destination
from a
at that.
video that like I made about a venue. Like it wasn't even like what I think so many people view TikTok and they go in with like, I need to make videos about my work and about why you
Mm.
should hire me and all these things. And that's like the furthest thing from the truth, in my opinion.
Hmm. So what would you say instead to create?
So I think you do need some videos of your work, obviously, because people need to be able to see your work. But I
Totally.
think like the most important content that you can push out that I've found in my experience is anything that is savable or shareable. So some
Hmm.
type of like educational content. So I do a
Yep.
lot of um, like venue videos. So like all
Yeah.
of my favorite venues in PA or in the Northeast, or if I was a 2027 bride, this is where I would tour. Things
Hmm.
like that, that people save to their collections. And then they come back and they look at my profile and they see my work and they're like, oh, I really like her. Like that's
Yep.
the majority of my clients. That's how they're finding me.
And you have to think about it this way. If they're already listening to you, as what you're really doing is you're setting yourself up as an expert to them,
Yeah.
then they're going to be like, okay, well, I've been listening to her and she's been directing me this far. She maybe even matched me up with a venue that I was looking for anyways.
Yeah.
So then you have this huge trust that's built. And then from there, that client in their head is like, well, I already have trust built with her. Why don't I also see if I like her photography? Oh, I
Yeah.
do. Of course I'm going to book this person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have
Yeah.
so much more momentum with a client who's already trusted in you on one thing. And then it's so much easier to get them over the hump of like, hey, what about my actual photography? And what about booking me for
1000%.
photography? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I
And
think
even
that's
just
exactly
like,
what you're doing.
yeah, that's even I feel like a difference with Instagram too is, and I know you can put reels out on Instagram. I'm just like I'm not there yet. But like so many people treat Instagram just like your portfolio, which is great.
Hmm.
And then they come over to TikTok and they expect to do the same thing. And it's like
Mm,
that's not going to work and that's not going to find you clients when you're only posting your work.
totally.
Because to be fair, like no one cares about your work as much as you do. And so
It's
to
true.
actually grab someone's attention, like you need to be giving them something, you need
Yep.
to be helping them in some way. And then they'll look at your work and they'll love it and
Yep.
inquire.
That's what people need to hear. It's so, so true. I love that you said that. Like, no one cares about your work as much as you
Yeah.
do. Like, you have to make people care about your work. You have to give
Yeah.
people a good reason to care about why they should trust you. And I think, and this is maybe one of the primary distinctions between Instagram and TikTok that I have found, is that you have a platform like TikTok where you can create a video about, let's say, a certain venue in PA. And if
Mhm.
you put that out on Instagram, it's not that it's never going to hit the right person, but I do think the likelihood that it's going to
Mhm.
hit the specific person that you want it to hit is less than if you were to put it out on TikTok, because I do think the TikTok algorithm is just better. It's
Yeah.
more refined for the viewer. And so, like, I've even been on certain sites, not even certain sites. Sometimes it's literally me talking with someone, and it's kind of creepy because you like talk with someone about a topic, and then TikTok will serve me up something
Yeah.
later that day or later the next day, and it shows me like what I've been looking for. Or even I'm trying to think of another example. Let's say I save one little thing on TikTok about, let's say, a certain venue, and then a couple days later I'm getting all these videos about like more venues, like maybe even in my area. So I just think TikTok's algorithm is a little bit better when you're creating that
Yeah.
type of content that you're talking about, Larita, because people are, they're just getting matched up with their interests better. That's what I've found.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I agree just even as like a consumer. Like on my personal account, when I'm
Hmm.
scrolling, like it's so much more entertaining or it's
Hmm.
topics that I actually care about versus when I go to Instagram, it's like there's nothing. Like
Yep.
it's just not the
Now,
same.
do you find that the search tool on TikTok is a good friend of yours?
I don't know. That's a great question. I
Do you
feel
know
like
what
I
I'm saying
have,
by that? Like, okay, so like people
oh, you
can
mean like
search on
do I use
TikTok.
it?
No, no, no. I'm
Oh,
saying as a marketing on the marketing side of it, like basically people searching for things that you're posting about and your video pops up.
yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I feel like I need to look into my analytics of like my venue videos and see how
I
much
would
is
love to know
from my news
because,
page. Yeah.
yeah, because my thing is like I have found on Instagram, when I search for something on Instagram, I'm like, I
Oh
won't even bother.
yeah.
I search for something on it like topically on TikTok, exactly the results I
Immediately
want.
what you need.
Do you know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And so
Mhm.
I think that's a huge thing as well, is searchability. Like, what keywords are we using? What on-screen captions are we using? What specific geotags are we even using?
Mhm.
And all of those things are going to funnel into the algorithm, so that, or even like the search engine optimization of that. It's like Google,
Yeah.
where people can search for something. Because there have been even studies done where I'm pretty sure Gen Z looks up TikTok more than they do Google these days.
Oh, I do
For
that. Oh,
I
a
know,
thousand
me
percent.
too.
If I go on a trip, like I'm not using Google, I'm using
Right.
TikTok. Or if I need a recipe, like things like that. Yeah, which was like that comes back to when I first started it. I'm like, I'm using TikTok more than I'm using Google. I'm using it more than I'm using
Mm.
Instagram. Like I need to be on here, you know?
Yep,
But even
absolutely.
okay, to your whole point of searching, this is so interesting to me because I have so many videos that I posted like a year ago and I'm still getting saves and likes and comments
Yes.
on them, which would make sense that people would be finding them using the search engine. Like I took in this winter, my off season, I just like kind of took a break from TikTok for a little bit. I wasn't posting content and I was
Hmm.
still gaining inquiries from it and I was still gaining
Mm.
followers from it, which would make sense coming back to like the search engine part of
It
it.
does. And
Yeah.
I will say this, and not to rag on Instagram, because I still think Instagram has a lot of power to it. But I think this is one of the biggest drawbacks about Instagram is that when you, and I really want people to understand this as they're listening, when you post something on Instagram, no matter really what it is, an Instagram post kind of has a life cycle of about 24 to 48 hours.
Hmm.
It, unless something you post truly goes viral, it's
Hmm.
hard for that post to do well long term. So you think about the effort and the amount of time you put into creating a post, like especially as photographers, like it takes a good amount of time to put out a piece of content. And then you put it out, okay, you got like 24 to 48 hours to get that traction. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And
Yeah.
even if you do, your work is kind of it's reached its limit on platforms like TikTok, and this is also the case on YouTube as well, that is not true. You, like you're saying, Larita, you can literally post something and a year later, that same video can pop up on a search result for somebody and
Mhm.
it can pay you back in spades. It's the same thing with YouTube. Like YouTube is much more evergreen. Things still pop up because they're more search engine based than they simply are just live feed based. Do you
Yes.
do you understand what I'm kind of saying by
Yeah,
that?
I totally get that. And I think too, like that also plays into, I think people can sometimes get discouraged. Like they post something on TikTok, put time into it, and they're like, oh, it's not taking off like I thought it would. 'Cause I know
Right.
that's happened to me sometimes. I literally had a video last week I made about venues, and I was like, oh, this is going to do really well. Like they
Hmm.
always do. But they take time sometimes. And like
Uh-huh.
it like I literally I posted it in the first couple hours, there was like barely any views. I'm like, do I delete this and like repost it? And I
Yeah.
was like, no, 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 I'll keep it up. And like now it's at like 10,000 views and has like
Wow.
a couple hundred saves, you know? And I know
Wow.
that it's the type of video that's going to keep growing and like
Absolutely.
that is where an inquiry can come from. I think even too with that, people need to start viewing like how powerful saves are with a TikTok
Mm.
because like 100 saves is 100 opportunities for someone to come back and see your work and love it, you know? So I think it's like that's why the educational content does so well and is so important because like that lives then in their TikTok collections and saves that they will come back to at some point.
You're saved in over 100 people's phones. That's
Right.
wild.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like
and
you
some of
hold
these
real estate in
videos
their
like
phone.
get thousands of saves for like a venue video. And so it's like that's a couple thousand people that could potentially need a wedding photographer and see my work and like my work and inquire.
Absolutely. Which
So,
at the end of the day, we also have to think about the fact that like, do we even need anywhere near that number booking us? So no, we
right.
don't.
No,
So
no.
if even a fraction of those
Yeah,
people
like
booked you,
1%. Yeah.
yeah, it'd be worth it, which is
Yeah.
so crazy. I love when you say that. Like saves truly are something that is so important when it comes to posting on these type of platforms, especially TikTok, because again, like you never know. There I go back to my saves all the time. I literally have folders for my
Yep.
saves because I was like, I want to make sure and go back to that.
Yeah.
So I am also curious, like when you look at right now, like, are you still actively getting inquiries and bookings from TikTok? And is it actually still like one of your primary marketing platforms?
Yeah. So for 2026, which would have been my booking season last year, 50% of my weddings for 2026 came from TikTok, which is
Oh,
crazy. And like
50%?
50%,
That
which
is
is wild.
wild.
And like I know I probably still could have booked it without TikTok, but what I was doing before that I no longer have to do is in 2024, I think I spent like $2,000 on Instagram ads and they worked
Mm,
really well, but then I was spending $2,000 on Instagram ads.
totally.
And now it's like I haven't had to run an Instagram ad in like a year and a half because I
Wow.
had so many inquiries from TikTok last year. I don't know what the percentage was exactly from TikTok, but I know I got over 200 inquiries in the year. And during my really busy booking season, which is like May and June, July,
Hmm.
I was getting one or two inquiries every day. And a lot of them
Wow.
were from TikTok, which
That
is
is
crazy.
so wild.
I think right now I am posting a lot because I know that usually middle of May is when people really start to like book their photographers for the next year. At least that's what I
Yep.
found in my own experience. So I'm trying to really post a lot to get a lot of saves to make sure that I'm in people's saved collections and that I'm getting the followers. That way, come May and June, people will start inquiring a lot. But I'm still getting a couple a week at least from TikTok. Yeah.
I love the way you think about that strategically. A lot of people don't think like that. And I think it's really helpful to hear you just break that down. The fact that when you have a high booking season, you have to think of it in terms of like, when is my exposure going to be the greatest?
Yeah.
And then when are people going to be most likely going from that save process to maybe booking me process? And then when can I maximize getting
Yeah.
into their feeds during that time period? I think that's a really smart, discerning way to think about it. And this is just so, again, this is just so wild to me because I think a lot of people are just like, I don't know the first thing about TikTok. TikTok scares me. TikTok reminds me of a bunch of random people dancing on TikTok in 2020. So
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
you help people if there's anybody who maybe would be a good fit for TikTok, who's just kind of trying to get over that hump of, should I really get on another platform? Like everyone's telling me to get on new platforms, whatever. And like, really, I got to get on TikTok. Break it down for us a little bit, Larita. There might be someone out there who they'd be perfect for this platform. They
Yeah.
just haven't tried it yet. How
Yeah.
would you help that person get started with it,
Yeah.
whether in their mindset or whether like a first actual practical step they could take?
Okay, that is a great question. I think first of all, just like force yourself to do it because like I promise you, and that's probably just not helpful advice. But like
It
when
is
I
for me. I'm
started,
I'm the same way. I'm like, just
I mean like
jump
you
into
just
the
gotta
deep
do it.
end.
Like we're a business owner, you have
That's
to.
right.
Um when I started, I was like, this is the most uncomfortable thing I have ever done in my life. Like, I don't know, I think I still have my first video of me talking to the camera, and like, you can see how uncomfortable I am looking back, which is so funny because the video that I made on TikTok, which is how you found me, the video about like how TikTok changed my business. I got a
Hmm.
people commenting that were like, "You seem so natural talking in front of the camera. Like, any tips?" And I'm like, "I promise you, like, it was not like that. Like, you just have to start. You just have to put yourself in the boiling hot water and just do it." But I think like practically just get on there, make an account, and just start pumping out content. I think in the
Mm.
beginning, don't overthink it. Just pump out the content. And then once you get comfortable with it, maybe like start really thinking, okay, like these are the videos that are doing really well. But I do think from what I've found is if you're having educational videos and then also your work kind of like sprinkled in there too, and then maybe like some videos that are more so what I would call like personality videos that are like
Hmm.
where people get to know you and feel
Yeah.
comfortable with you, because that's always my goal. I'm like, I want people to inquire and I want them to feel like they know me and like trust me already. I think those are like the three types of content that are essential. One of the biggest mistakes I see is, first of all, they treat it like Instagram. They come on and they literally only post their work. And like
Mm.
I said, no one cares about your work. No one's going to save your work for the most times. Most times, I think sometimes there are, but for the majority of people, they're not going to. Or I even just like, I see sometimes people only do like educational content. And then I go on their page and then like, I can't even find their work. And I'm like,
Yep.
if I can't find your work, like a potential client can't find your work. So
Right.
I feel like that's why it's like really important to have a mix of all of those types.
Yep.
And that's
And
what
to
I would.
your point, when you say you do still want to sprinkle in your work in there, it's kind of like you're not trying to go for virality in that sense. You're
Yeah.
more so trying to go for that select few people who they saved a video from you. And then they're
Yes.
like, I like this person. I trust this person. Let's just actually see if I like their photography. Now, if they go to your site, or excuse me, your profile, and they can't find any of your work, well, that's
Mhm.
a huge disconnect. You've kind of
Right.
given them a dead end now. I mean, unless they go to like your link in bio, whatever have you,
Right.
but ultimately they got to see your work on the page. I think that's one of those really important frames is like, don't expect to go viral with that. That's more so a prerequisite to just have baked into the infrastructure of your profile. But it's so interesting when you talk about like just diving in and doing it. I find that that actually is one of the best mindsets to have, and just to hold your results loosely and just to be like, I'm just going to start. Like that's how I got started on TikTok is I got started on TikTok before I ever became like, 100,000 followers on
When did you
Instagram.
start?
I started back in 2020 because I was actually, I felt so watched on a place like Instagram. And I was like, I just need to clear out the clutter. I'm not telling my friends and family and people from high school that I'm going to be in TikTok. I'm just going to create this account. So then I did that and I just started sharing like anything I wanted to share. And it was so freeing. And so I even tell that to people who are like, well, I'm not sure if I should. I'm like, hey, no one's following you on TikTok. Turn your little like friend finder thing off where it's like, do you want to connect to your contacts? Like turn that
Absolutely
off.
not. No, we do not want that.
No. And then just post like you would post to whatever and just play around with it, experiment with it. Like you can always keep posting more and like bury the old videos. But I don't think I've ever deleted like an old video that made me cringe. I'm just like, nope, that's there because I want people to know that's where I started. And so I think that's a really good mindset to have of just dive in, get on in there, post the educational content, post the portfolio content as well. And then the other thing I love that you said is get your personality out there. That is huge. Like those talking head videos, at least to hear people actually, seeing how your face moves, seeing how your voice inflexes, whatever. I mean, these little things, they are personal connection points. And if you don't have them, it's hard for people to connect with you. Now, did you find, really quick technical question, because I know people will ask it. Did you ever find that it was like frustrating because I think you have to have 1,000 followers on TikTok in order to have a link in bio?
Before you can.
What did you do prior to that? Or did you just not worry about it?
I think I had it just like in my bio, but it's not like where you could click it. And I actually am curious if that made a difference then with my inquiries and with my bookings and stuff, because I don't think I hit 1,000 followers until it was a couple months, and it would have been around the time that I would have started getting more inquiries and where it would.
Interesting.
So I'm really curious if that did make a difference. But I was still my videos were still getting traction without having 1,000 followers. So I don't think the follower count matters with how well your videos do. But because like accessibility and just like the ease of life is so important for so many people, it could potentially make a difference in
but don't let it stop you is what you're saying.
But don't let it stop you. Absolutely not. No, that is
because at the end of the day, I always think about it this way. Like, yes, it's a hurdle we can't force to be out of our way. Like if TikTok says you got to have 1,000 followers, fine. Then the goal is just to get 1,000 followers. And that's our goal right now. Maybe our goal isn't even to get an inquiry yet. It's just like, hey, my goal is step one, get to the 1,000 follower mark. You know what I'm saying? And then once you get there, then you can kind of think more about convertibility. But I always think about it this way too. I'm like, people find us photographers in the weirdest ways online. If someone sees that my account name on TikTok is Nathan Chansky, I mean, it's not rocket science. Like if the person has a brain, they could probably type in Nathan Chansky on Google, find his website, find his Instagram, and all would be well. Like, is it as convertible? No, but you can still make do.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you did have to put in the work, and you did have to commit yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I don't want to minimize the fact that you, Larita, actually committed yourself to it, and you think about things in a strategic way, and you are like, I'm going to figure this out, and you have. And so I think that's another thing that I want people to hear is like, Larita put in the work. And if someone's listening to this thinking it's just like a magic silver bullet, I don't think you'd say that. It's like, you still gotta commit yourself to it.
Yeah. It takes time. It takes effort. And also I think what happens so many times is people start and expect results within like a month. And like, that is not going to happen. Like, I
Nothing
wouldn't say,
good comes that
like,
quick.
yeah, no, like it really took off. Like we talked about with traction, like 9 months after is when I
Mm,
really, really started reaping the rewards. But like, I was still posting, like
totally.
I was still putting the content out. And at some points, like
Yep.
there would be months where I was putting out, like I try to put out one video a day, and I was like making the drafts and doing what I can. So it is a lot of work, but it's worth it, in my opinion.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And it's good for the people to hear, because I hear that when you're like, I was doing this for 9 months before I ever got like this huge payoff. And I think to myself, that's a success story in my book. If
Yeah.
I gain a brand new marketing channel that's bringing in
Yeah.
50% of my revenue in
For
nine
free.
months,
Yeah.
that's for
Yeah.
free, for free.
You
And
don't have
then,
to
then
pay for
I mean, I'm telling you right now, that's success in my book.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
know what other people are doing that like I think sometimes people have these expectations of, well, I'm going from 0 inquiries to I want to have like 30 inquiries a month in 1 month of whatever I do. I'm like, that is just an unrealistic expectation. Like, you have to, whatever you are doing, you have to commit yourself to it if you're starting from ground zero, and you really have to put in the time and effort and the commitment through thick or thin, come what may. And that is the type of person who actually gets to see the results in the end. So, can you walk us through, just because I want to kind of, before we end, I really want to walk through like, what's a super practical video that maybe someone could make like right now? Let's maybe even take one of your venue
Yeah.
tour videos. Like, how do you make that? Like, do you go physically to the venue? Are you doing like green screen? Like, how do you find the venue? Like, how do you pitch it to a client in the video? Like, walk us through a little bit about a type of video you'd make.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the venue videos. And it is not rocket science. Like it's basic. So I've done it a few different ways, but every single time it's worked. In the beginning, I was doing venues that I had already shot at and that I had
Hmm.
like an iPhone clip of. But I've actually found that that doesn't do as well as the other way that I do it. But that's an
Hmm.
option. Like if you're at a venue and you have like an iPhone clip of it, and then just upload that with some text or like talking about
Hmm.
it, that's an option. Another option would be like walking through with a green screen of a venue you've already shot at with your photos. That's what I did for that Italy wedding, and obviously like that worked really well.
Hmm.
But the most of my venue videos are, I go like on their Instagram or on their website, and I screen record, and it's just scrolling, and then
Yeah.
I green screen over it and I just talk about it. And a lot of the venues are venues I haven't worked at, but I would love to work at.
Yep.
And I will just talk about like why this venue is wonderful, why it looks amazing. I've found that the videos that do really well are the videos where I kind of more rapid fire, and it's like 15 seconds per venue, and I do
Hmm.
10 venues, in one
I
video,
love it.
because brides want options. They want to be able to
Yep.
save, and they know, okay, they're going to start venue hunting in a month, and then they're going to come back to this video. So that's kind of my take on it. I think too, when you start your videos, or even just when you're making your videos in general, some just general advice is stop rambling, and like, which can be hard for me, but like I cut down so much. Like I ramble when I take the video, and then in my post I go back and I cut down so much, and like if there's like a split second of time in between like me talking in this clip and me talking in the next one, like I'm taking, like
Cut the fat.
these are quick. People want their information. They want the information quick. So
Yeah.
I do that. And then I also have found that you usually only have a couple seconds to grab someone's attention. So stop introducing yourself as a wedding photographer and instead say, how people are like, I'm a wedding photographer based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
Oh,
and here's a
yes.
venue that I wish, like, I scrolled. Like, no,
Yeah.
but like instead, so my last video that I did was like, if I were a 2027 bride, these were the venues I would tour. And immediately, anyone who's getting married in 2027 is like, their ears are perked up and they're like, oh, what does she have to say? You know? Or, yeah, so anything like that. And I try to do that with most of my videos too, not just the venue ones. But venue,
I love it.
I have found like that does really well for me.
And what you're saying is absolute gold, because when you talk about like, just get to the point, don't make it about you. I think everybody's so Everybody's in the forefront of everybody's mind is like, I have to pitch myself. I have to pitch
Yeah.
myself. And
There you go.
I just want to tell people like, don't worry about pitching yourself.
Yeah.
Just be somebody who's actually offering a valuable helping hand. If
Yes.
they want to work with you, they will figure out how to work with you. It's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? They will figure it out. You don't have to be like, hi, I'm a wedding photographer from X and X and I do this and I do this. And I specialize in now 15 seconds later, I'm going to get to the point. Like they are
No one's waiting
gone,
15
baby.
seconds. Yeah, like they are not there.
No. And
Yeah.
I think too, what's interesting about this is like when you talk about like, if I was a 2027 bride, that immediately niches your video for the viewership. So that, like you said, when the person is listening, their ears perk up when they hear you identifying this video. If you fall into this category, this one's for you. Or even you could even say something as simple as like, hey, if you are looking for that like Northern European Pride and Prejudice vibe, here's the venues for you. Or if you're looking for that like Italian villa but stateside vibe, these venues are for you. Or if you're looking for that like desert like cowboy vibe, these venues are for you. Because then that immediately whoever that bride or groom is like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. And then the algorithm is also listening and they're like, I'm going to send it to this person because I know they're interested in this type of a thing.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
And I think like people just need to start whenever they make a video, like kind of think in that framework too, because it applies to every video. Like I made a video once about questions you should ask your wedding photographer before you book them. Right. And I kind of started with like, I'm a wedding photographer. These are the questions I would ask if I were booking a wedding photographer. But I didn't. I started with like, before you pay a wedding photographer thousands of dollars, ask them these questions. And immediately people were like, oh, you know, and the video did really well. And I like still get saves almost every day on the video. Like,
good for you.
Things like that.
Love
like,
it.
you need to think in that framework of,
if
you get bored during the video, like anyone else.
They're bored.
The video.
It's true. It's very true. I love that you said that. Larita, I am so happy to have you on. Is there anything, I'm going to give you one final shot for you to tell us like any advice you'd give us, parting words, things we haven't discussed yet that maybe even like you would tell yourself like 12 months ago, 2 years ago on this topic?
I think just keep going. Like if I was talking to myself 12 months ago, I would be like, don't stop posting, like put a video out every day. I think a really easy way to do that, like a practical tip for everyone, is to have drafts. Set aside one day a week where you are sitting down and you give yourself 2 hours of time, an hour of time, whatever you have, to sit down and make videos. And then have those in your drafts and you can just post them. Or have, what I always do is I have a notes app where I have all of my TikTok ideas, and I probably have like 30 ideas in there right now. So if I ever am like, I'm running out of content, I'm like, oh, okay, well, here's a bunch of ideas that I can post. Cause I know sometimes it's like some weeks I literally have 0 ideas, like fresh ideas. And then there'll be a day where I like sit down, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just flowing. So make sure you're writing those down. And then also just lastly, like, I don't want this whole podcast to come across as like, stop doing Instagram, go straight to TikTok.
Sure.
Because that is like the furthest thing from the truth. Like you just, it's more so you need multiple funnels of where people can find you for inquiries.
Very well said. And I don't think you gave that impression of not doing Instagram. I think both are very valuable for different reasons. But when you're trying to find a lot of, I think, new clientele, and oftentimes when you're trying to maybe even find younger clientele, I think TikTok is at the bare minimum, it's a huge opportunity. I am truly so honored to have you on. I think people will find this very valuable. Can you tell us where, like, what's your account handle on TikTok so we can come and follow you?
Yes, it's just Larita Fisher Photography. And that's spelled Larita, and then Fisher.
Is that the same on Instagram for you as well?
Same on Instagram. Yep, same for website. Everything's the same. And come find me on TikTok. Send me a message. I would love to connect. I think it's such a fun platform.
I hope everyone goes and follows you and can kind of figure out like, hey, how's this girl doing this? How can I learn from her? Thank you so much, Larita, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for sharing so much information so freely with us. I think people will be loving this episode.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.